Funny enough, even though Beth treated little Ben like family, Chris showed up at the door, suggesting taking him to a baseball game. Beth had no reason to refuse and repeatedly reminded Chris to care for her son, not realizing it would spin out of control. When they returned, they found little Ben covered in blood, while Chris looked completely unfazed. Beth ended up giving him a few choices. Chris got all riled up and shot Beth an angry warning. Paul just happened to show up, saving Beth, but Chris held a grudge against him because of it. As soon as Chris left, Beth downplayed it and explained everything to Paul, trying hard to hide her embarrassment. Paul calmly said, "I've got your back." Those words made Beth's heart flutter. Once locked away, Beth's heart began to crack open in that moment as she pondered Paul's figure leaving. "Hey, let's go grab some beers. They'll forget about my worries." Later that night, they were at the bar, reminiscing and laughing as time flew by, lost in those endless conversations. They only had eyes for the stars in each other's gaze as they strolled along the river, enjoying the moonlight and breeze. Under the enchanting night, their feelings quickly fermented, their long lonely hearts intertwining. As they parted, in a moment of silence, Paul leaned in for a passionately deep kiss, tipsy on their connection. Beth lost herself in the moment as the moonlight dappled them. Love's seed began to sprout within their hearts. From that moment onwards, Paul worked even harder, filled with passion every day, while Beth often watched him quietly, her heart feeling sweeter than the purest honey she had ever tasted. They strolled through falling leaves, played with their puppy by the creek, and even went fishing at sunset. Grandma fully supported Beth in chasing her new life, but Chris was still harboring quite the grudge and happy about their happiness. When Chris spotted Paul at little Ben's birthday party, he blew his top and hollered at Beth, "If you stick with Paul, I'm going for full custody of little Ben. With family connections, I'll win the judge's favor." His words left Beth torn between love and motherhood. Even though she loved Paul dearly, little Ben was her whole world. In the end, Beth had to let Paul go, watching him walk away. Beth felt a deep sense of loss. She wanted to throw everything away for Paul, but was tethered by her obligations to little Ben. As Paul began to leave, Chris followed him, whistling victoriously, relishing his triumph. However, Paul remained oblivious to it all, continuing with his life as serenely as ever in the subsequent days. Beth grew reserved. Grandma told her to fight for life's freedom, not rely on others. Those words made Beth reevaluate. She knew choosing little Ben wasn't wrong, but she couldn't let Chris' threats cost her Paul. Early the next day, Beth found her courage and confronted Chris, unloading her pent-up feelings. After pouring her heart out, Beth felt a weight lift. Free from her constraints, she hurried to find Paul. She had the one she loved most. They needed no words, understanding each other's hearts through their gazes. Afterwards, Paul gave his old house a facelift with brand new furniture, and with Beth and little Ben around, it finally felt. In his free time, Paul taught little Ben to play the violin and even signed him up for the church recital. Watching little Ben bravely perform on stage, Beth swelled with pride, more convinced than ever that Paul was her destiny. And that warm sight of happiness didn't escape Chris' notice. After the show, he finally came to terms with his situation. But just when he was coming to peace, he received some unexpected news from a friend that got him thinking. Chris, deep in thought about his next move after hearing that, decided to take action and sneaked into Paul's place that afternoon, silently taking possession of that lucky charm. He went to Beth and shared his suspicions with her. Military still hasn't figured out how your brother died, and rumors say it was friendly fire, yet here's Paul, a stranger, with the charm. He might be the killer. Everything he does could just be a quest for redemption. Beth started doubting Paul's motives, totally swayed by Chris' words. After Chris left, Paul arrived, noticing the missing photo. Beth, clutching her brother's charm, interrogated him. At this point, Paul gathered his courage to recount how he came upon the photo and his narrow escape from death. Beth was like an angel in hell. She served as a beacon of hope, and because of her presence, he found the strength to overcome despair. How can you explain something you can't even understand yourself? That answer was too much for Beth. Her eyes were filled with the yearning for her brother's return. She hoped her brother would return safely, not like this. And so, they parted ways, neither having found resolution. Paul began to waver, thinking that maybe leaving was the best choice. Just as Paul was about to leave, little Ben stopped him, gifting him his favorite book. Paul told little Ben, "Take good care of your mom, okay?" That night, the skies opened up with rain as Paul returned home and opened the book from little Ben. Inside, he found a photo and instantly recognized the man in it. It reminded him of that night he found the charm when they were ambushed. Paul avenged his comrade then. That man was Beth's brother. The only survivor knew the truth and decided to tell Beth before leaving. However, as the story gradually unfolded, it became increasingly intricate, filling Beth's heart with a tumult of doubt and conflict.